Okay, so are you guys okay after this real life drama? That's right, these are not Reddit stories, these are actually your stories. If you want to submit a story, the story form is linked in every video description. If for some reason it is closed, that means it's full and it will reopen soon. I'm pretty sure it's been open for the last little while though. I am almost all caught up with submissions, you guys. This is exciting. The first story wants to be left anonymous. The wildest dating story ever. If you think you've heard wild dating stories, my experience will leave you speechless. You can't even make a movie out of this whole fiasco I found myself in because it honestly sounds too crazy to be true, but I assure you, it is. I am not trying to be excited for your downfall, but I am excited for this story. For safety reasons, I will use fake names. I've never told anyone this story, and I feel this is a safe place to get it out. I'm so happy you feel that way. Back in 2019, I, 23 male, was in my junior year of college living in Key West, Florida. I had just finished up finals week and I was out for the summer, and I was all in the mood to party. I'm a typical young person who just wants to have a little fun in life. I was currently single at the time and I wanted to find some babies to celebrate with. I downloaded Tinder and I ended up matching up with this girl who I will call Emily, 27 female. She lived about 15 minutes away from me and we seemed to really hit it off. Her profile showed that she was a nurse and currently looking for some fun. Sure enough, we agreed to meet up for drinks at the bar the next day. Fast forward, I drove to one of the local beachside bars and I met Emily. We had a really great time getting to know each other and it felt like the perfect start to summer vacation. We had drinks, we walked along the beach, and I even playfully splashed her with ocean water. Like a scene from a rom-com. She was all excited and definitely all up on me. Now, I'm not the usual guy who kisses and tells on the first date, but we ended up kissing. You know when you have that feeling when you feel like you've found someone special? That was it. This went on for a few weeks. As time passed and after we got to know each other a little more and learned about what we were looking for, Emily asked if I would be interested in taking our relationship to the next level. It had been a few weeks since I had been with a woman and I really liked Emily, so I figured, why not? Emily said she knew a place and I was ready to go. Later that night, we went to a hotel room to do the deed, but little did I know that I would be in for a huge surprise, and not a good one. So I'm sitting in the bed waiting for Emily as she is getting ready in the bathroom. Then I hear a knock on the door. I get dressed and I opened it and I saw a random dude standing outside. He looked at me like he saw a demon. "Who the F are you?" he asked. I asked him the same thing, and turns out this dude was actually Emily's husband. The word husband literally had my jaw hit the floor. So many things are rushing through my head. First of all, why did Emily have a Tinder page if she was married? But also, how in the world did her husband even discover where we were? The husband pushed his way past me and started screaming through the bathroom door at Emily. She opened it and then her husband started her and calling her names. Oh boy. I was so shocked at everything going on because I literally discovered I was caught up in some apparent love triangle. As they're going at it, I step in and demanded Emily to tell me if this was indeed her husband. She said yes, but not only that, her husband told me they have 2 kids. And here you were thinking this was the beautiful start to a perfect love story. That was the last straw. I hurriedly grabbed my stuff and got the hell out of there and I drove home. I couldn't help but stop thinking about what I had just learned. I guess this is just another example of crazy things that happen in Florida. I'm still currently single and I will not use Tinder ever again. I just will never understand how married women could live with themselves after doing that to their family. Yet cheaters do it all the time. We have so many of those stories on this channel. That's crazy. I still want to know how the husband found that out. I wonder if her location on her phone is the reason of how we found the hotel. Also, him putting his hands on her, concerning. All right, the next story also wants to be left anonymous. Don't ever use Craigslist. Okay, noted. I, 31 female, thought going on Craigslist to purchase new baby shoes for my pregnant sister would be a good idea. It was the worst mistake I've ever made. For context, my sister Quinn is pregnant with her first child, and I was super excited to become an auntie. Fast forward a few months and her baby shower was approaching, and I wanted to get her some nice baby clothes. A friend recommended Craigslist. In hindsight, a huge mistake. The ad had a nice picture of brand new baby shoes and a very descriptive detail of them, and they only cost $25. That's a steal, so I bought them without hesitation. Unfortunately, my stupid didn't read the entire fine print, and that wound up playing a big part in how the baby shower became a disaster. I met this gentleman at the listed address to pick up the shoes, and they appeared just as they did in the pictures. And it felt like everything was good to go. Boy, was I wrong. Just a heads up, you're not going to believe it when you hear where those shoes have been. Wait, what? Okay, just keep reading. So the day of the baby shower came, and I was super excited to share the joy with my sister because we found out she was having a baby boy. It was an emotional time, but we all had a great time giving gifts and having some girl talk. But then it came time for me to give her my gift. I figured nothing would be wrong. That was until Quinn did a thorough examination of the shoes. She discovered that the tiny shoelaces had what looked like wear and tear on them. I was surprised and confused because I assure you, I did a pretty good examination myself when I bought them, and they appeared to be fine. She then put her hand inside the shoe, and it was sticky. There was some sort of old liquid substance that was hidden and was stuck on the inside of them. Context, you couldn't smell anything unless you put your nose directly into it. Where is this story going? It was disgusting. At first, I thought it was some sort of illegal substance. Quinn asked me where I got the shoes from, and I informed her I got them on Craigslist. She looked at me like I was the dumbest person ever. "Are you effing stupid?" she said. Clearly, I felt very stupid considering the situation. I tried to explain that they were brand new shoes and that I never give her baby shoes in this condition. Quinn asked, and I showed her the ad of the baby shoes. What happened next was something I will not forget. At first, she buried her head in her hands and let out a huge sigh. That made me realize there was definitely something I missed. She pointed out to the little fine print where the letters are smaller to read, but they gave a more descriptive detail of the shoe's conditions. I kid you not, this is what it read. I'm scared. Why do I feel nervous? I don't even know how to read this right now. This is what it read. Shoes have been in ass. Oh, my eyes! My eyes! Yes, you read that correctly. The dude who sold me the shoes literally shoved these inside his butt. Just when you have like a sliver of faith in humanity, you read a story like this. I gave my sister ass-wiped baby shoes at her baby shower. I'd never felt more disgusted and embarrassed. I was so disgusted with myself, and I realized that I had indeed been screwed over. Everyone around us was appalled by this, but there was some laughter about it because when you think of it, you don't ever see something like this every day. And thank God. Well, not unless you're on Craigslist, apparently. I tried to reach out to the guy, but guess what? He blocked my number. He knew what he was doing this whole time. I don't know where he lived because the meetup location was in the parking lot at a grocery store. It was clear and obvious that this was indeed a scam that he planned out. Not only did I get scammed, but I embarrassed myself at my sister's baby shower by giving her shoes that were literally, shoved in some. Okay, we get it. I'm never going on Craigslist ever again. I have so many disturbing thoughts in my head. How does your mind even go to that? I'm concerned. That's some name right. But also the thought that I wonder if when he met up with you to give you the exchange, in his mind, he's like, they've read all the details and they're buying the shoes. Like, they're just as twisted as I am.
We're the same, you and me.
I honestly, I don't know what to say about this. And I really wish we were all live together in this moment, because I don't think I'll ever forget this story for the rest of my life. I feel like I'm gonna go tell everyone in my personal life this story. That is, I feel a little bit nauseous, to be honest. Ew. Next story also wants to be anonymous. Girl, this breakup I had was a tornado and I gotta spill the beans. Throwaway account just to protect myself from my stupid ex. Fake names are being used. You can call me Cecilia. Am I the a-hole for how I broke up with my boyfriend? All right. Where do I begin? Let's go back to where it all started. I was with my ex-boyfriend, Oliver, 20 male, since we were 15. We were childhood friends who eventually developed feelings for each other. We always spent time together, and the rest is history. I will say he wasn't the brightest crayon in the box, but he was a good guy, and I felt that I was my best when I was with him. What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell ya. This took place back in January, so it is fresh. I asked Oliver if I could borrow his cell phone because we were planning to book a flight to Cancun, Mexico, to celebrate our anniversary. I was really looking forward to it. For context, Oliver had an iPhone and I used an Android, so I would occasionally use his phone when it came to certain things like this because I'm not best at technology with an Android. While I was doing all that, a text message from a woman who I didn't know came in. The name was Becky, and I don't know anyone by that name. It made me suspicious. I asked Oliver who Becky was, and he said that it was just a friend from work. The text contained some words that weren't exactly on a friendly level, if you know what I mean. Becky was calling him things like honey and sweetie, which is definitely not normal. My stomach began to feel tight because this was giving me anxiety. My gut was telling me that there was more than I was seeing. At first, I just acted naive and pretended to forget about it, but I'm not stupid. That night when we went to bed, I pretended to go to sleep, but I actually stayed up. I waited till way past midnight and Oliver was fast asleep to check his phone. I knew his combination and I wanted to see for myself if my suspicions were right because something was telling me that I needed to do some snooping. I went through his text chain and social media accounts and I saw messages from multiple women I didn't know, and I even came across some dirty text messages and photos that he was sending to these women. I literally threw up in my mouth when I saw them. I snuck out of our room to do more investigating, and the most disturbing part was when I came across the Tinder app that was hidden in one of the folders in Oliver's phone. As you can imagine, my mind was racing and I had no idea what to think. We had been together for so long, so why would he have a dating app? And more suspiciously, why would he hide it from me? Well, that's not suspiciously. Like, we don't gotta wonder about why he hid it from you. Well, after some time digging through it, it became clear and obvious that Oliver was cheating on me. The Tinder app contained messages about meeting up at certain times and places. From what I found, this had been going on for months. I went into our spare bedroom and I cried into our pillows. I was heartbroken and angry, but I wasn't going to go to him crying and begging for him to come back to me. It was time for some good old-fashioned revenge. I was not going to let this loser get the last laugh. For more context, Oliver worked at a car repair shop and he told me he was up for a promotion. This gave me an idea. Also, he uses a laptop that keeps records of his work there. So I pretended to be him and I emailed his boss, Mitchell, saying that I quit. I wrote, "You're an a-hole who has no balls and you treat me like shite. I also sneak out of the office to go to the club because I'm sick of this job. You don't pay me enough to do this. I quit. P.S. You have a tiny wiener." The next morning, I pretended to act like nothing happened and Oliver went to work. After he left, I gathered all my things and I moved out. I wanted him to find out after the whole fiasco with his boss. I went and I stayed with a friend of mine so Oliver wouldn't find me. Later that day, I get a call from Oliver, screaming and yelling. Turns out my plan succeeded and Oliver did indeed lose his job. This is what I said to him. "That is what your cheating gets. I saw the Tinder profile and all the photos and messages. You cheat on me, this is what you get. Go F yourself and stay out of my life, we are over. Then I blocked his number. I always have a rule of thumb, if you cheat on me, it is all fair game. I wonder how he's dealing with the consequences of his cheating. Am I the a-hole for how I handled it? I'm curious what people think about this. Do you believe if you get cheated on, it is all fair game? Like, what does that mean though? What's all fair game? You know, how far is too far? Next story is coming in, from Sass King. Okay. Am I the a-hole for making my son tell his entire school class that he's a liar? I've been told I'm an a-hole for doing this, but I don't think I am, so allow me to explain. Fake names are used. Calling all parents. Oh, we're gonna need you in here. You can call me Greg. I, 34 male, am a single father to my son Kevin, 10 male, who's currently in 4th grade. This recently took place at the end of December when I discovered Kevin lied to me about his grade card. But not only that, he deliberately tried to hide it by putting ink over 3 F's on his grade card. Here's some background for how we got into this situation and why I did what I felt like I needed to do. As I said, I'm a single father after my ex-wife Lauren left us for another man, and now we are divorced. We share joint custody of Kevin, although I feel like I should have full custody because she's had a very negative influence on Kevin. It's why I developed an act for being sassy. She's always coddled him from facing the consequences to his actions. Whenever I tried to hold him accountable, Lauren would always protect him and make excuses that he's just a kid. One time, Kevin threw a tantrum that wound up in him breaking our TV. As you could expect, I didn't let that fly. I punished him and grounded him until he worked his way to pay back the money for a new TV by selling all of his toys and games. That's basically how we got into this situation, and I wish things turned out differently. Also, between juggling the whole situation with my full-time job as a software engineer, I don't get home until late in the evening. I'm under a lot of stress and I don't have time for rational solutions when it comes to inconveniences. Therefore, on most days when I have Kevin, he will stay at one of his friends' house who live just down the street. Now let's get to the main point of the story. You know how schools always have a board out on the front yard that has an announcement? One day I was driving past the school on my way to work and it read that grade cards were coming that week. I asked Kevin to show me his grade card and he said he didn't get it yet because he had an overdue library book that needed to be turned in. I told him to get it taken care of immediately and he said he would. The next day I get home and tell Kevin to show me his grade card. He handed it to me and at first he said he had 4 A's and 3 B's. You would think that's pretty good, right? Well, I couldn't help but notice that the paper looked uneven and around the supposed A's. Context, Kevin isn't the smartest student and he's never really gotten so much as a B, let alone an A in subjects like math, reading, and science, so this was very fishy for me. Something was telling me that this wasn't correct. In the kitchen, we have one of those fluorescent kitchen lights that has really good lighting. I held the grade card up to the light and sure enough, I noticed that it looked like there was ink covering up the portion of where the grades were. All 3 A's were actually F's. Kevin tampered and lied about his grades, which if you're anything like me, that's a gigantic no-no in my household. This absolutely enraged me and Kevin needed to be taught a lesson. Lying and cheating is something I do not tolerate and that anyone who does it should have drastic consequences. Grounding him wasn't enough. He needed to be knocked down a few pegs because when a kid starts lying about grades, that will lead to more serious problems and I wasn't going to let that happen. I work super hard to provide him with everything I want him to have and I've always raised him to be respectful and that school is more important than anything. I immediately called his mother and I told her what I discovered. It turns out she knew about it. Kevin went to her first and told her that he was struggling in school. She felt that he just needed some tutoring. Bull crap. The grades are secondary at this moment because he tried to hide it from me. I told her I'm putting my foot down and that he's going to learn the hard way about lying. After letting some time go by to gather myself, I sat down with Kevin and I told him what was going to happen. Number 1, you're grounded until the next grade card comes in. which is 9 weeks. Number 2, no TV, no video games, no extracurricular activities, no staying with friends. And number 3, I'm paying for a personal tutor to help him get his grades up. He was crying and claiming that I was being unfair, but I wasn't having it. I got the idea that Kevin needed to feel shame and embarrassment for what he had done. I mean, I'm not a parent, so take anything I say with a grain of salt when it comes to it. I just can't imagine you wanting your kid to feel shame and embarrassment. I don't know, maybe it's the wording that's like feels harsh. I don't believe in that soft parenting nonsense. Kids need tough love when they really screw up. I told him we're going to see the principal first thing in the morning. The next morning, we go to the principal's office to meet with the principal and Kevin's homeroom teacher. I made Kevin confess to them what he did and that he needed to be taught a lesson. Both of them weren't happy and they both agreed to take action. I will forever be grateful to the principal because she was old school and always prioritized a child's education over everything. I told her, you need to set an example for all the kids if they ever consider pulling a stunt like this. She was all in. I told Kevin he was going to tell his entire class that he's a liar and that he's grounded for the next 9 weeks and that he's not allowed to hang out with friends until then. I walked Kevin to the classroom and stood outside the hallway where he could see me because I wanted to show him that I was serious. He was definitely scared, but that was what needed to happen. His teacher made him stand up in front of the whole class and told them what they did. Kids were going, ooh, and laughing at him. It honestly felt really satisfying. Fast forward, I surely get a call from Lauren calling me an a-hole and telling me I went too far. She had the audacity to say I was being abusive. I stood firm on what I did because it's my job as a father to teach my son the difference between right and wrong. I'm raising him to be a man, not a man-child. Listen, I mean, it's given a lot of red flags for me. If I'm being honest, you came on here wanting some advice. Or not wanting advice, just wanting an answer if you're the a-hole or not. So people are gonna give their opinions in the comment section and I hope you're prepared.
You guys, look at the keychain I made. So my friends and I watched the Hannah Montana special last night because it came out on Disney Plus. I found these little like tumbler keychains at Dollar Tree, and then I bought like a little craft kit so we could all make keychains to go on them. And mine was obviously Hannah Montana inspired.
Lying and cheating doesn't get you anywhere in life, and I'll be damned if I let my son become one. I hung up the phone and Lauren hasn't spoken to me since then. Currently, Kevin is going to his tutoring sessions after school and they have filled me in on how he's doing. He is doing outstanding with everything, and it seems as though he now realizes what he did was wrong. I told him, it may seem unfair, but you'll thank me for this later down the road in life. You don't know how lucky you are to have a dad who cares about you. I stand by what I did because maybe this will give other parents an idea to put a boot up their kids' ass if they ever do something like this. I regret nothing and I'll defend it to the fullest. Kids need to be taught hard lessons for their own good. Am I the a-hole? Well, I mean, I don't think you're gonna listen to anyone anyway. I mean, you just said it. I will defend it to the fullest. So even if people tell you that you are, or they disagree with your parenting style, you're gonna defend what you did. You're not actually trying to hear other opinions. Really? I think there is a way to teach the lesson of lying for sure and getting bad grades and trying to hide it and lie to you. Of course. I guess for me, it's just to want your kid to feel shame and embarrassment. And I feel like there's a different way to teach that kid that lesson. I don't know. I don't want to say too much over here. I am very curious to hear from other parents because some people might absolutely agree with this parenting style, but everyone's parenting is different. I'm curious to know what you guys think from your own experience. You know mine. The next story's coming in from the camera woman, whatever that means. Like webcam woman? That I could be so far off. Hi Joss, I would like to share this story from my youth. Oh, okay, I'm really far off. This was before cell phones and the internet was in the very early days where schools only had it on 1 or 2 computers and we all had to wait for the slow dial-up modem. I was 14 and my friend was 13. Guys, I almost forgot about Hydration Station. Rude. Cheers. Every Tuesday evening, we went to the media class at school. Basically, we just got to do whatever we wanted with some nice cameras for that time, and the teacher taught us how to edit the clips together to make movies. The cameras came with a lot of buttons to click to do different things while filming if we needed to. One evening, we were filming in one of the hallways when knocking sounded on the door. This would always happen if we filmed in the hallway. There was another evening class to learn German that ended while our class was still going on. A lot of adults took that class. If the people spotted anyone in the hallway, they would knock to be let inside, since walking through the school was a shortcut to their cars on the other side compared to walking all the way around the school. After letting them inside, I grabbed the camera again and another person knocked. There was a man outside looking rough, but we figured that he was also part of the German class and we let him inside. He thanked us and walked past us, and I turned my back to him to film my friend. She had her eyes on the man and said that he was trying to open doors further down. I turned around and I saw him trying to open a cabinet in the hallway, but it was locked. And then he tried one of the doors to the classroom right after, which was also locked. We realized we had just let in a thief, and I decided to film him. Unfortunately, I didn't notice that I hit the button to create some weird blurry effect. It was a shame since he turned around and saw me filming, and he actually grinned at me and raised one hand to give the devil horns salute before turning back around and walking towards the exit. We went back to our teacher and we told him what happened. He took a look at the footage, but unfortunately we couldn't make anything out of it due to the blurry effect. He did know who it was, as it wasn't the first time this man had tried his luck at the school, but the footage could not prove anything. He also walked out in the hallway to check, but the man was gone. He had left the school. Shortly after, we decided to go home to my friends. She lived just across the street from the school. Their house was set up, so we walked into a small room to put up our shoes and jackets, and then there was a door leading to the kitchen. We found her mother in the kitchen and told her about what happened at the school. She kept chuckling because she didn't believe us. Suddenly, her face fell and she had this fearful look in her eyes. She grabbed my wrist and pulled me in with her to the door to the small room. When she opened it, we saw their front door closing. She opened it, still with me in the grip, and there was the man from the school walking down their driveway. She yelled at him for what he was doing there, and he quickly made up some lie about wanting us to call a taxi for him. She told him to walk to the bus shed across the street and wait there. He did walk over there, but didn't stop. He just continued walking. Funny how she believed what we had just told her after that. I'm not sure what type of protection she thought 14-year-old me would be, but I guess she just panicked when she heard someone out there and grabbed me since I was the closest one standing to her. That is insane. That is so random. Yeah, you genuinely let a thief into the school. Not saying that if you stole something, it was your fault, but also, really, I'm just glad that everyone was safe and he wasn't aggressive. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on these ones, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.